Joining me now to discuss, representing Florida's 17th Congressional District, Congressman Greg Steube. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me. So, Congressman, as you know, the situation is more dire by the day in Ukraine as Russia continues on with its invasion. That being said, we've heard from President Zelensky over and over again that he needs planes and more support. What do you think our next steps should be?
Well, I certainly support sending the MiGs through Poland. The administration initially, Blinken supported that and was going to shift that over and then reimburse Poland for those MiGs. And I guess the Pentagon sent a press release and didn't want him to do that. So even Biden's own cabinet officials didn't agree on the best way forward on that. I believe that we should transfer those MiGs to the Ukrainians to allow them to defend themselves. I encourage any of your viewers who didn't watch the video that he played for Congress today to watch some of the real footage that's happening on the ground. There is a real humanitarian toll happening in Ukraine right now. Children are being murdered, civilians are being killed, and for us to stand back and not at least provide weapons and ammunition and aircraft for them to defend themselves, I think would not be what our nation should be doing.
Exactly. And I get that we have a lot of issues here in this country, but I think we can't turn a blind eye to the atrocities that are happening there. And as you pointed out, the footage is devastating every single day. More devastating footage. We've seen Americans, journalists killed in Ukraine. I mean, the list goes on. And so, yeah, there's a lot of frustration in how the Biden administration is handling this and our problems here at home. And as for Biden and his trip to Brussels, I mean, that's coming up in a week or so. I mean, things need to be done now. And also, how do you think Biden's going to perform out there? We saw how VP Harris did, and it was quite an embarrassment for our country.
Well, and things should have been done a long time ago. I mean, going back to 2014, when Russia violated the terms of the Budapest Papers and the Russians invaded Crimea, was when we should have instituted sanctions. And at the very least, the moment that the Russians were building up on the Ukrainian border, we should have instituted sanctions. And this administration sat back and did nothing until the American people stood up and said, we're not going to import Russian oil. We need to put sanctions on the Russians. And finally, he acquiesced and started to do that. So he's weeks and months behind the actions that we should have been taking that would have prevented this all to begin with. If he would have lifted the sanctions on Nord Stream 2 and opened up billions of dollars of revenue to Russia a year ago, which then by the way, he reversed that decision, that Zelensky himself has said that opened up the money for them to fund their invasion. So there are so many things that could have been done that haven't been done. And now we sit where we are today, where Ukrainian civilians and Ukrainians are being attacked by the Russians. At the very least, we need to send munitions and allow them the weaponry to be able to defend themselves. I do not support sending American troops on the ground. I do not support sending our own military aircraft into the airspace, because then you're going to basically give Russia the excuse they're looking for to start World War III.
We certainly don't want that. Now, in yesterday's press briefing, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked by a reporter if Biden's pushing Ukrainians to commit suicide. Let's take a look at this video and then we'll react after. Roll tape.
I'm trying to understand where you are trying your end game in Ukraine. You are not going there. You are not sending troops there. There will be no flight zone over Ukraine. And will it be a fair assessment to say that you are pushing these guys to commit suicide, knowing that Russia has a superpower and eventually it will capture the main cities, Kyiv and Kharkiv and all the cities around there? What's the end game?
Well, the end game is really a question for President Putin. We have completely crushed his economy. We have provided military assistance, humanitarian assistance to the Ukrainians, enabling them to fight back for far longer than the Russian leadership anticipated. And again, he has to determine what the path forward looks like for him. Thanks, everyone.
Can you confirm or deny the rumors that the Russian hit squads in Kyiv going after journalists?
I don't have any details on that for you.
Have you heard of it?
There's more.
So that's a great question there. What is the end game? And as we see, sanctions are important, but they're not working right now.
Well, and the great question was, what is your plan, Biden administration? It's been what we've been asking all along. What exactly are you doing, and what is your plan in Ukraine in dealing with Russia? And they don't have one. They're kind of reacting to the situation as it occurs, and that's not leadership. We need a leader from the White House to lead under American authority and under American greatness to make tough decisions, and that's not what's happening in our White House right now.
And I also wanted to play this clip for you. It was during a Russian television broadcast where one of the journalists there was protesting the war. Let's take a look at that, and we'll react after. Roll tape.
О том, как смягчить воздействие западных санкций, говорил сегодня Михаил Мишустин. На встрече со своим белорусским коллегой российский премьер подчеркнул, надо усилить сотрудничество в рамках союзного государства, а на совещании в правительстве обсуждали, как сохранить...
So it appears Putin is losing a lot of support. I'm not even sure he had the support for this war in Ukraine. That being said, some 15,000 people in his country have been arrested for protesting. We saw this brave journalist come out with a sign saying no war, making sure that people know that a lot of the Russian people don't support this. And this Russian journalist, she was jailed and sentenced to up to 15 years. It's pretty brave and incredible that she did that.
Well, and it just goes to show you that there's certainly not consensus amongst the Russian people to support what Putin is doing in this war. This is something that he's architected, that he's decided, that he's doing, and thank God that we live in a country where we have freedom, where people that express their views and are protesting aren't jailed because of their viewpoints.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Congressman, we got to leave it here. Thank you so much.